Every day I think about this that passes by, I think it's getting disgusting that we can't take action. 100,000, if not into the millions, starving. Gaza's population started off at 2 million. It's now probably down to 1.5 million. And these are all starving right now. And to see people carrying a bag of wheat home, and then to see the journalists being killed for reporting this stuff, and the entire Al Jazeera team, and to see that there's no action to be taken. This has got to change. This has to change. It is becoming disgusting, nauseating to look at food. Disgusting to play with your kids. It becomes something that makes you want to vomit. I think coward is lower on the list of probably why certain powers that be behave the way they are. There's something worse than that, which is just a complete sellouts. That's highly possible. They just made a conscious decision. We're going to be with the powers that be, and we're not going to help. And it's not a decision they made on October 8th. This has been in the work for decades, with a deal here and a deal there and all these agreements. And now you are so bound up with agreements that when a certain powerful person that you have so many ties to them makes a bad decision, you can't say anything because you're so tied up with them financially, politically, socially, but mainly financially and politically. You're so tied up with them. There's two different opinions here. One opinion is that, hold on, Israel is the real criminal. But no, the other opinion is that Israel couldn't do what it's doing without having tied up the hands of all the Muslims around it with their dealings and their politicking. Am I right or wrong? There is no way a small little sliver of a nation can go into the lion's den of Arabs and Muslims and do what they're doing without first having tied up all the hands of the people around it. Common sense tells you that. They tied up all their hands. Loans, other financial dealings, protection from America, great amount of aid coming from the U.S. We're talking 7 decades of this, correct? From 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, up to now. 7 decades. That's why they're not doing anything. All I could do now, to be honest with you, to maybe possibly decrease God's anger with us at every moment, I just think every breath, while walking, Allah bring rahmah to Ahl Gaza. Let us do something about Ahl Gaza. Let us do something about Ahl Gaza. And now that that's on our mind and that's made us disgusted, there's other suffering too, and them too. Ahl Sudan, the Rohingyas, the Uyghurs, and all the other Muslim suffering in the earth. But this is what's got on our radar for a wisdom that Allah knows and is making everyone sick in their stomach. There was a kid eating dirt. There was another guy. He has connections. He has friends there. They Wi-Fi him. They WhatsApp him. And they said to him recently, tell all your Muslim friends we hate you. All of you. Well, how can I blame them? How can we blame them? Their hatred for the rest of the nation is growing. Another person reported a vision of the Prophet ﷺ. He said, I saw the Prophet ﷺ on a horse. And as Muslims were going to greet him, they stopped. They said, oh, he's upset. He is angry. They backed off. One person came up and the Prophet said, where are you from? He said, I'm from Gaza. He said, you come. It meant all of you. We have to, we're being punished. This is a punishment. The fact that you can't take action is a punishment. This is a punishment on the whole ummah, or it's a consequence, at least. We can definitely say it's a consequence, if not a punishment. The fact that we cannot do anything. And some people say, stop saying you can't do anything. Find something to do. But I'm practical. I'm looking at a map here. If you're going to do something, you need to physically help the people in Gaza. Look, where are you going to do it? How are you going to do this? The map has here Egypt on one side. You're not going through there. We know that. Lebanon on the other side. You'd have to go through Israel, which is not happening. Syria from the right. Practically speaking, how is anything going to happen? So I think we're jammed into one conclusion, which is to remain disgusted in your heart, to remain nauseous, to remain every day when you sip a cup of coffee, you realize this is disgusting. That's the minimum. That's the bare minimum. Jordan is on the eastern border. and then you'd have to get through Israel. I'm not even talking about war. I'm not even saying wage a jihad. Jihad? Are you kidding? Who are you even talking to? At least get them water and food. That is what we're caring about here. I mean, that's not illegal in any nation, correct? By any laws. Is that something that's going to get you flagged, or you're blaming the ummah for not waging a jihad? You can't blame someone when you want someone to go to war. You better have gone to war yourself first. You don't tell other people to go to war when you're not going to war. Even if the Sharia ruling on something is that the neighboring nation has to wage a jihad, it just doesn't sit right when you say that and you yourself have not done anything, even though that is the correct ruling, right? You just don't know the circumstances. And some of those circumstances are not all justified. Some of those circumstances, you put yourself in this circumstance, right? You yourself got yourself so intertwined with Israel that you can't utter a word, let alone pick up a gun. So we're not even saying, hey, go to war. I mean, that's just, it doesn't sit well when you're 1,000 miles away in the air conditioning and you're telling other people to go to war. So forget that. Let's just go to the most basic humanitarian thing. You can't find a way to drop some food. There's got to be a way. You're going to even accept for this entity to stop you from bringing trucks of food? We are that compromised that we can't say, hold on a second, I know you're beating up our neighbor, we're not going to touch you. Let's at least feed him. No. Even that, like, how bad is the situation politically that here you have these neighboring nations, and one of them in particular is right there, and they're stopping you from bringing trucks of food. You can't get desensitized. Every breath, it has to, before you ever utter a word for yourself. Now, there's hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, you make dua for yourself, you make dua for others. There's emergency situations where that doesn't even sit right. It has to be Ahl Gaza has to come first in our prayer. And don't even think that you did something good when you make a dua. Wallahi, it's like, wait, do I feel good about myself because I made a nice long dua about Gaza? I was on the thinking Muslims. I'm sick and tired of just, the only thing you could do is share. Okay, here's some news, share it. Yeah, Sami Hamdi is right that people did change perception. Yeah, that's all true by social media. But for now going on year 2 and sharing is all we can do. You feel disgusted as a person, as a human being. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, you change things with your hand. If you can't change it with your hand, then change things with your tongue. We're changing it with her. We're talking here. If you can't do that, then hate it with your heart. I know some people are going to say, well, you know, they should know every test is from Allah. You're living in a la la land. When people are suffering, they're suffering. Not everybody is going to be at such a strong level of the understanding that we're able to talk about. That's all. We're talking about the nature of evil and why evil happens. It's talk. Let's see how you react when you suffer from evil. Let's see how you react.